Hi, welcome to Escape into a Cause, the podcast inspiring Central Texans to turn good intentions into impact. I'm Stephanie Dyer, a philanthropic rookie, learning how to give back with a little help from my expert friends. Together, we'll share stories of local nonprofits, explore ways to connect, and encourage everyone to step up, unplug, and make a difference. Let's dive in and escape into a cause. Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Courtney.
Later today, we are going to escape into Generation Serve, which is dedicated to engaging children and families in volunteerism to develop lifelong community service habits. So I'm sure Generation Serve will be able to school both Courtney and I on the topic that matters that we're going to explore, which is children and giving.
Yeah, I love it.
This week I saw on LinkedIn, do you know Wharton professor Adam Grant? Do you follow him?
Yes, I do know Adam Grant.
I love Adam Grant. Don't know him. Just
Wouldn't that be great? Can he be a guest on
Can you
the
please
podcast?
be a guest? That would be amazing. He posted on LinkedIn about a neglected predictor of success and happiness, which is assigning children chores at a young age. The idea here was you give kids responsibility, it builds trust and character, greater life satisfaction, higher math scores, and more positive peer relationships. So a lot of positive outcomes just assigning children chores. If chores play a crucial role in child development, why not community service? We know from studies that community service increases empathy, teamwork, leadership skills, critical thinking, communication skills, gratitude, sense of purpose, self-worth, and responsibility, just to name a few. Those that are involving their children either by volunteerism or even explaining to them it's beneficial to give some of your money back to these nonprofits and making them think about what causes are important to you.
Yeah.
Courtney, you and I both have 2 children. Have you started introducing either of your children into any volunteerism or talking about giving back?
Yes, absolutely. I am a member of Junior League of Austin, which I'm excited about Gen Serve because Stephanie Bazan, who's the executive director, is also a member of the Junior League of Austin. But we have a whole program within the Junior League, and it's called Kids Giving Back. And it's the whole concept of, hey, your mom sits on a committee for the Junior League, your mom's doing codes for kids. Come and see what she's doing. Bring your kid along. Help them provide hands and service in the project or whatever it is. I've been able to take my kids and, for example, we packed backpacks full of school supplies for children in Del Valle ISD, which tends to be a lower socioeconomic school district in our Austin metropolitan area. And getting to explain to them, like, why are we doing this? Can't they buy their own backpacks? Can't they buy their own school supplies? Hey, let's talk about privilege and let's talk about why some people can't and what that means. And how you can make sure they do have school supplies on their first day of school so that they don't feel different, so that they fit in. What would it be like if you showed up without all of your stuff? Well, it wouldn't look really good. People would ask me, yeah, that doesn't feel very good. Talking to them about there are benefits that we have, and we are so fortunate to have them. Others do not have them. There is a responsibility, a civic responsibility to help those when and if you can. And doesn't it feel good? And we would talk about it afterwards. Like, didn't it feel good to do that? Yeah, it felt good. Great. Coats for kids. There's a whole day where you bring your kids along and they help sort coats, tag coats, and hang them. Hey, why are we doing this? Well, there are children who don't have coats. Oh, what do you think that'd be like if you didn't have a coat? Man, I'd be really cold. Yeah, you'd be cold. And what if you had to stand at a bus stop for 25 minutes in the cold? Oh my gosh. And then you would go to school and would you want to learn? No, because I'd be cold. You get to provide a coat though, so that doesn't happen to them. Does that feel good? Yeah, that feels good. So kind of talking them through the process. Some of the fun things that I've had friends do too is talking about chores. If a kid receives an allowance, they have to take that allowance. They have to divide it into 3. So there's the portion that you get to spend, there's the portion that you get to save, and then there's a portion that you give. So let's sit around, talk about the different charities. What are you really passionate about? Dogs, great. Let's talk about the Austin Humane Society.
Always animals.
Always the animals. Always the animals.
Jaden always wanted to give to a nonprofit for sharks. And I was just like...
There's one. There's one out there.
No, there is.
Of
Yeah,
course
there was.
Maybe not in Austin, Texas, but...
Yeah, he finally let that one go, but he really wanted to help the sharks out there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great for them to really think about what do they care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. From my perspective, something that I think is worth sharing is when I was a kid, my junior year of high school, our advanced placement AP economics teacher, Mr. Jamie DeVries, he's very influential for me. And he created a nonprofit back in 2002 to figure out how can we make economics come to life. And he created a nonprofit called Kids Helping Kids. And it's a nonprofit ran by students. And a lot of the work is done outside of the class. They have raised I just looked at their website, over $3 million since 2002. It's pretty incredible. And this wasn't a time in my life. So from 6th grade to 12th grade, I lived in 14 places in 7 years. So I lived in a lot of places. There was a moment where a lot of this time is spent outside of the classroom and we're all chatting, and Mr. DeVries had a girlfriend that was from Texas. She and I would always chit chat about Texas. That was my nickname when I was in high school there was Texas.
Love it.
Either Texas or Whataburger. And my family moved into the Ramada Hotel, and it was walking distance from the school. And she had known that I was going through issues with figuring out like clean clothes when, with 3 of us are sleeping in one hotel room. Anyway, I didn't think much of it when I was talking about it. And she said, you know what, let's go take you shopping just to get an outfit. And let's have you stay with me for a night. It'll be a girls' night. And it was just so nice. And I look back at that moment, and then I look back at other moments where we stayed with my brother's best friend's house. His dad was a lawyer, had a beautiful home in Santa Barbara, California. And we stayed with them. I really can't recall how long, months. I know my brother stayed with him a lot longer, but they just had an open door. And the reason I mention those 2 times in my life is that this opportunity for me to give back and kids helping kids made me never feel like, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
Something's happening to me. People are having to help me, because I found opportunities to give back. And I just thought that what a special thing that giving can do for someone who doesn't feel very privileged at the moment. You can still give back. And I look back at that time very fondly because of kids helping kids.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, and those are 2 examples of non-organized service, right? They didn't do it through an organization. They didn't do it as part of collecting hours. They did it because they're good human beings, and they feel compelled, and thank God that they do, to help others and to reach out. 2 examples of good humans helping others.
Great humans, and never for a moment did I feel shame.
Yeah.
Like these kids that you're talking about that need coats, they should never feel shame, but also how amazing that Generation Serve and these other organizations allow children that need some help also give back.
Yes.
It makes you feel meaningful to be able to give back to someone else.
A little bit taking the power back too, right?
Absolutely. And so, so let's think there's going to be Generation Serve, and we'll speak to them later. Of course, YMSL, NCL, we've talked about that before. Westover has also a food pantry. I did that with my son when he was doing Junior National Honor Society.
NJHS, National Junior Honor Society.
Yes, thank you, Courtney.
There's so many acronyms.
He was in middle school. He was in second year of high school.
Yeah.
But yes, so we did Westover when we were there for food pantry, and great opportunity to bring your child, and they can easily do things at these food pantries. We've done Keep Austin Beautiful in the past where we got into a kayak. That was so much fun. And the Peace Park, bring your kids. That's a great opportunity. I'll talk about that more in a future episode. And Sage Studio and Art from the Streets. If you have blank walls, guess what? Take your kids on a Saturday, the Canopy in Austin. So hold on that Target artwork purchase.
Right.
And go bring your kids. There's music, there's coffee. Make it an event with your children. Let them pick out the art that goes on your walls and contribute back to the community. So it doesn't have to all be volunteerism.
That's a great point. We've talked about this. I think there's over 19,000 nonprofits in Austin, each doing something different and unique. And many of them will say, hey, I don't need volunteers. I need this, or I need purchases, or I need people to go to the Sustainable Food Center, and I need people to go to the farmer's market and actually participate in the buying process or the selection process, or I need these types of supplies, or, there's so many ways to give back. Central Texas Food Bank is our largest food bank in the area, and they also have great opportunities every day of the week, morning, weekends, nighttime, where you can go and volunteer in the food bank.
I hear so many incredible things about them.
Great organization.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited to continue exploring nonprofits and see how children can get involved.
Thanks, Steph.
We'll be right back. Escape into a Cause is sponsored by Nightlight Insurance Agency. You know how a nightlight gives you comfort and peace of mind in the dark? That's exactly what Nightlight aims to do. Guide you through life's uncertainties with personalized insurance for your home, auto, business, and more. Nightlight Insurance strives to provide its clients the best coverage at the best price without sacrificing on customer service. Here's what one client had to say. Nightlight was able to lower our car insurance significantly, answered all our questions, and returned our calls promptly. Very professional, would highly recommend. So it's no surprise Nightlight has a 5-star rating on Google. Nightlight also makes this podcast possible by covering production costs so all other sponsorship dollars and gifts can go directly to nonprofits and volunteers. And as part of their mission to give back, Nightlight proudly donates $1,000 to every nonprofit we interview. If you are a sponsor interested in giving back to our podcast, please find us on social media and let us know. Nightlight is an agency focused on personalized service and giving back. See how much you could save and how good it feels to have peace of mind by visiting nightlightinsurance.com. We are escaping into Generation Serve, and we have Executive Director Stephanie Bazan here. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. If you don't mind telling us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Generation Serve exists to spark a love of volunteering in youth and to help them grow into community-minded leaders. Our vision is generations of change makers, hence the name Generation Serve. We want to make sure that there's opportunities for young people to volunteer and to go on that journey in a way that's meaningful to them. There's lots of opportunities for different age groups, just trying to make it so that it's very accessible and meets people where they are.
Yeah, this episode is great for parents, grandparents, guardians. Ever since my youngest was born, I'm amazed year over year, all the data that comes out about how much screen activity. Latest was teenagers spend 8 hours a day on screens, preteens spend 5.5 hours, and more than half of that is TV. So I think you have some really good ideas to get the youth off of screens and involved in their community. And what areas do you serve?
We serve Travis County and the surrounding areas. Just recently, we did a data plot map to see where we weren't as focused. And so that's part of our strategic plan going into this next few years is to look at those pockets of the city that we didn't have as many touch points with and make sure that we're truly serving our entire community.
Yeah, and is that touch points for where you're serving or touch points where volunteers reside?
So both, where volunteers reside, where we're serving, and then actually one other layer is where our community partners are located, because we do some activities in our office on North Lamar and then some activities on site at our partner organizations. So we want to make sure that there's a variety. We serve youth ages 3 to 19, as long as they're still in school. We just have a lot of opportunity for people to join us and participate.
That's great. I'd love to dive into the numbers and hear about the impact. There's 3 impact programs. Could you go into each of those?
Yeah, and I keep smiling because I love talking about Generation Serve, and so it's really, I probably have this really silly smile on my face. We have Little Helpers, and that's for our youngest volunteers, and that's preschool age. It's usually a cohort of about 10. They do service projects throughout our service areas, and so they might start with environment and sustainability, and then do health and wellness the next week. There's story time. It's very structured. There's a teacher, and we have that opportunity 3 times a year. And then we have our really bread and butter programming, which is the family volunteering, where youth come with parent, grandpa, aunt or uncle, guardian, and they do volunteering throughout the city, and that's all ages. And then we have our teen programming. So we have teen service days where it's teens only. They run the programming and it's a drop off. And we also have an advisory board for teens and some other opportunities. We just collaborated with I Live Here, I Give Here for See Teens Give. And so much happening.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm thinking, so a mom or a dad with 2 or 3 children, one is much younger than the others. They want to start getting the older ones involved. Is that reasonable to bring in your little one with you and have the older one start helping out? I just would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, it really depends on the project. We do 60 to 80 activities a month. So there's a lot to choose from. And when you go into our calendar, you can also choose by service area or age. But we do try to say if something is all ages, sometimes people who have kiddos who they might have a toddler and a teen, they can go to the same activity. There are other times when we've had people reach out and say, I've got a newborn, but I would love to come. And if it's not somewhere where they have to have a waiver, especially if something's in our program space, they can bring them as long as they RSVP. We definitely have to have the count. So there's a lot of flexibility around that, depending on what your family looks like.
Fantastic. Diving a little bit more into the impact, I know that there have been a lot of volunteers, activities, and service hours in the past year. And I know that impact report is coming out for 2024. Can you provide us a few of those numbers? They're significant.
Yes.
Exciting.
We had in 2024 20,000 available spots for volunteering, which is incredible when you think about it. Our team is tiny. We have 5 full-time staff and to put out 20,000 available volunteer spots is pretty incredible. We had 65 teen service days. Another exciting number to share is that we had touch points with over 2,000 unique youth. It's near 2,300. And we are honored to be able to award the President's Volunteer Service Award every year. And we had 117 youth who went through that program. And so that is a differentiator for us. It's very unique and quite exciting because to get that award, you have to do a certain number of hours. We record that for people and we have a celebration at the end.
That's great. And what ages get those awards?
Elementary all the way to high school. And then on our website, we have a page dedicated to President's Volunteer Service Awards because the number of hours you have to do depending on your age and depending which award you're going for is quite different.
Yeah, I love that you're recognizing these children for all the service they're giving. And I think something that some people don't really think about is that their children can get credit in other areas, right? National Junior Honor Society, Young Men's Service League, YMSL. I know that your senior year, at least at the high school that my son goes to, you get the cord for how many volunteer hours you've submitted to your school. So getting recognition, you can put that on your college application. I know that that's not why you're doing it, but there's some benefits to doing it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We work hand in hand with a lot of those groups and we recognize that people are doing service throughout the city. We have something called Serve at Homes, which is a little bit different. It's not in our space or with one of our partners, but it's things that you can do on your own. And then we also have the opportunities that you mentioned and people can get those hours contributed towards the President's Volunteer Service Award as well through us. So there's a lot of ways to collaborate.
I'm all about gamifying things. So that's great. And then I know 100 community partners as well. So that's 100 nonprofits that you're working with.
Yeah. So they're not all nonprofits, which is why we note that they're community partners. Some of them are organizations who have not gotten their 501c3, but are still very important in the city. And I think it was near 114 when we did our last count and 13 of those were new. So that's really exciting. Yeah.
That's great. So over 100 community partners, 8 service areas. So if your child is into animals or art or the environment or senior citizens, they have plenty of activities that they can do and contribute.
Absolutely. And as I said, if you're doing little helpers, we make sure that they get touch points with a few of those. There's an opportunity for everybody to find their passion or to try things out. So that's what we love about that.
Great. Okay. And then 3 signature events.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about those.
Really fun. So we have 3 signature events. Our first one coming up for the year is Big Night Out, which is on February 27th at the Junior League of Austin Community Impact Center. And this is our big fundraising gala. It's our greatest revenue event, and it's a lot of fun. We'll have a mystery wall, we have a DJ. You can expect a live and silent auction. Our theme this year is Bloom Through Service, which is really fun. And we'll also be incorporating an activity. So adults can come and see what we would do at one of our service events. And so that's super fun. In the summer, we have our birthday. We're celebrating our 16th birthday, our Sweet 16 this summer in June. And that is free and open to the public. Last year, it was at Peace Park, which we really loved because people who RSVP'd came and then other kids heard us from the splash pad and came with their parents and enjoyed our birthday party with us. And then in the fall, we have our Family Volunteer Day where people really get to experience lots of community partners all in one space. We'll have upwards of 30 different partners and they can try different activities, get to learn about different service areas. They get a little punch card to show that they've gone through the zones. And it's another opportunity to just participate with us. And that is free as well.
Great. 2 free events out of your 3 signature events. So
Absolutely.
yeah, get out there and get involved. That's great. Okay. We would love to connect listeners to Generation Serve through stories. Do you have any stories that you can share with us?
I have so many stories. I think I'll tell you a theme that comes out and then share a quick story. So a theme that comes out, I hear from parents all the time, is that they can tell that Generation Serve has had an impact because they see their children doing things differently or talking about the world a little bit differently. And I had a mom recently who said that they went to a park and her kiddo needed a trash bag. And it was because they wanted to clean up the park before they started playing because they had done a similar park activity with us where they had little grabbers and they picked up all the trash and they made it nice and clean. Another woman wrote me and said that they went to the beach and that their kiddos combed the beach, made sure it was all clean. They were worried about the environment and they really wanted to make sure that they left the world in a better place than they found it. And she knew it was because of Generation Serve, which is fantastic. And the story that has stayed with me, and I had a dad tell me this, it was probably a year ago, was for an older kiddo who's now off to college, who was with us as a young person and then went through the teen programming. And he said they were having a conversation and his son was talking about how he really appreciated his dad and his mom for everything that they taught him, and that he felt like he was a really great guy, but he was a little different than his dad because he had been a part of Generation Serve. And so that made him look at the world differently and just give back in a different way. And the dad was nearly in tears. I was nearly in tears because you really saw how important that was for not only the parents to have him participate, but for him. Like, he took that off with him to college. And those are things that you can't get those impact numbers. You don't necessarily know what is going to happen once they leave that activity. But that's what we're talking about when we're saying inspiring generations of change makers, because that kiddo is going to go off and do fantastic things and multiply that by how many touch points we have day in and day out.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
It's pretty incredible.
You're not going to get that on your impact report. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so important. So yeah, that one sticks with me for sure.
Yeah, I really do love those stories. It is so important for children to get involved because it's not just the hours they put in, it's the empathy they're building, it's the leadership skills that they're building. And I think what we need in this world right now is a lot more empathy and more service and thoughtfulness for others. Part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast is I was getting tired of everything on my social media feed. Everything was about me, 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 me. Everyone just look at me, whether it's fashion, makeup, skincare, buying things. Consumption is off the charts on your social media feed, and I think that's fine in doses, but I think I was getting tired of seeing so much of it and wanted to see more about people giving. And it's why I ask that people brag about themselves doing some good because I want to see more of it. Stephanie, I know that you have done plenty of good since you started with Generation Serve over a year ago. But is there something in your personal life that you've done good in the recent?
That one's so hard. Honestly, the things that I'm thinking about all have touch points with my team, and I never feel like I necessarily do it on my own, right? You've got your village, your family, your friends. I think that the thing that I'm proud about, that's actually something I'm working on now and that will come to completion here, is that I'm running the half marathon for Generation Serve, for the charity that I love.
I love that.
I am training for that and working really hard to run those miles. And I'm not necessarily a runner. I don't run generally, but I love a challenge and I'm very competitive.
Oh,
and
me too.
I'm very excited to be able to raise funds through this. We have a platform on Give and Gain, and we're an official charity partner of the Austin Marathon. And I'm excited about picking the next person off and running for Generation Serve. So I think that's something that if I had to brag, I'd brag about the hard work that I'm putting into making sure that I can cross that finish line on February the 16th.
I think that's a great brag. So that's the Austin Half Marathon?
It's the Austin Half. Yeah.
Great. Are you running it with anyone?
My husband is actually running with me.
Fantastic.
And so we're looking forward to it. Yeah. And we've got a team of runners for Generation Serve, and we've got tons of volunteers because that is what we do, right?
Yes.
We have tons of volunteers who will be at mile 15 with signs and ready to pass out water and things like that.
And have you ran a half or a full marathon before?
I ran a full when I was much younger,
Uh-huh.
and I have run a half before. So this will be my third time. But
Okay.
it's not something that I do regularly.
But is there nothing better than the spectators?
I love it. I love it. I love the signs. Like one of my favorite ones was a Mario sign with the power up.
Uh-huh.
And I like
I
ran
love
on
those.
and I powered up
Yes.
and then I was like, oh no, I used some of my power. I need that ounce. But the signs, the kids, people jumping up and down. Oh, I love it. It's such good energy.
And children are really fun at making these signs. When I ran a full marathon back in 2019, I ran the Houston Marathon. My husband had our boys make a sign. I had no idea what was on them until the marathon day. We loved Cool Runnings. The movie Cool Runnings. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
And they always would say, rise and shine, it's butt whooping time. And that's what my older one put on a poster. And the other one was much younger at the time. And he just wrote, go fast, Mrs. Run Fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just really sweet and very heartwarming. And I'm so proud of you for running a half marathon. That's really exciting. I hope you get them. I hope you run past everyone.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay, now that you have bragged, we also want to give listeners a chance for bragging rights. Let's talk a little bit about what they can do.
Absolutely. So we have all of these activities every month, and we need activity leaders. We make sure that they have everything that they need so they can talk about the activity. And we ask that activity leaders either are able to help us once a month or seasonally, or maybe there might be a particular activity that they want to participate quarterly. And so as long as there's some sort of commitment there, it's really helpful for us. And so that is one of our greatest asks. We also have opportunities on our various committees. So if you like decorating, or if you're really into finance, let us know. We'd love to bring you on as a committee member so you can learn a little bit more about us and use your talents to help serve in that way. And so those are just a couple of ways that people can get involved.
These volunteer activity leaders, I know adults, but what age could you start leading one of these activities?
Yeah, so you can actually start leading at age 14. So we have co-leaders, and that's 14 all the way to 18. And so they'll definitely be paired with an adult activity leader. And then after a co-leader goes through a certain number of programming and they feel really comfortable and they hit just about 16, then they can be a leader for Teen Service Day or various things like that.
Okay, 14 and up, it's a commitment as low as maybe quarterly, so 4 times a year, not much, but ideally once a month. That's really not too much.
It's not a lot.
No.
And the exciting thing is you're participating in whatever the service activity is. So whether it's making a snuffle mat for animals, or if you're going to help us at a senior center, do crafts and reading, like we're participating.
Tell us more, what is a snuffle mat?
So a snuffle mat is like a little pad with little felt strips on it, and you can put treats in it for your pup. And we usually give these to animal shelters, and it helps keep their brain really happy, and it gives them something to do. And they obviously can tear it up and chew it too. So the centers need us to replace those regularly, but it's super fun to do. You can be creative and make a little design.
Okay, so crafty or animal lovers, that's a great activity.
It's a great activity.
Yeah.
We've got, again, activities across the board for different things. If you're into health and wellness, or we've got so many things outdoors with our environment and sustainability. People really love the trash grabbers. And so we've got tons of trash grabbers. Come hang with us. And we play games like who found the coolest piece of trash, or who found the smallest or the biggest. And so really to make it fun as you're cleaning up a park.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about another self-serving benefit other than college applications or these rewards is time spent with your children.
Absolutely. For sure.
I'm in Young Men's Service League with my son, and I'm selfishly loving the hours we put in because I don't get as much one-on-one time with him. We listen to a history podcast on the way there. We have fun activities like that where I get to learn something about what he's been doing. And there's a lot of children who don't tell you all about their day, but then once you get one-on-one with them and you're maybe picking up trash, that's a great opportunity to connect with your child.
Yeah, it's really great. I had a similar experience with my daughter who's 6, not through another organization, but with Generation Serve. We went to Book People this last weekend to work with the Kindness Campaign. And as I was driving there, she was singing, which is per usual. And then she started talking about how she was a little bit nervous because of the work that she was going to have to do, and that she was so small. Why did they want a volunteer so small and so little? And so I had the opportunity to tell her, about her superpowers and that she could be brave and that there was a lot of things that she could do as a young person. And she did great. She passed out bracelets. She welcomed people. She helped them find their seats. And then she got to participate in that activity. On the ride home, she talked about how she was a little anxious, but then she was brave and that she knew she could do it again. And so you're absolutely right. There's lots of those opportunities that might not come about if you weren't in that situation.
Yeah, and the confidence building that you're instilling with them. That's fantastic. I think of at least my own life and the phases I've gone through. I think when you're a child, you keep thinking if you see anything wrong with the world, you can fix it when you're older. And you kind of look out to your future self, your adult self, and you go, okay, I'm going to fix it. And I think as a child, I kept thinking, I'm going to help contribute and solve problems. I think once I started getting to my adolescence and once I start getting, high school, college, you begin to get a little more self-focused. It's athletics, it's academics, and it's building your social life and music and having fun. And then you have children. And then you start thinking again, oh, I got to start fixing those problems I thought of when I was young. And at least that's my experience, that once you have children, you want to start leaving the world a better place for the future generations. And what a beautiful way to instill that when they're young and to give them that blueprint of how you begin helping and how you can help. I think that's amazing. We almost missed, though, Big Night Out is another way to earn bragging rights. Yes. February 27th.
February 27th, if you go to our website, which is generationserve.org, right on the front will lead you to the page for tickets, and we're nearly sold out. I think we have about 40 seats left, so help us sell it out.
Yes, that's awesome. Have y'all sold out in the past?
We have.
You have.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so it's a very exclusive event. Get your tickets.
Super exciting. We can't wait.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we also partner with Texas Stars, and Texas Stars Foundation really loves to give to those that are giving back. I know that there's a family that you would like to recognize. Do you want to talk about them for a moment?
I will. Yeah. It's the Swantner family, and they're actually receiving our Family Volunteer Award at Big Night Out for their service to the community, and we think they're fantastic. They've got a great story. The mom remembers seeing littles doing some service at a food pantry before she even had kids, and she was like, there's tiny children participating in service. What's happening? And she said she walked around the corner, she asked what they were doing, and they said they were part of Generation Serve. And so she knew that when she had children, that she was going to have them participate in Generation Serve all that time ago. And so they're wonderful. They're with us now. They've been volunteering for years. They're really positive, fantastic family. And I think they're so deserving. And we're excited for this opportunity to share that with them.
I love that. Well, I hope the Swatner family has a lot of fun at a Texas Stars game. I'm excited that that's going to them.
Yeah. Thank you to you guys and to the Texas Stars.
Okay. Lastly, what's top of mind? I know Amplify Austin. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
For sure. We are busy because, as I said, we've got the marathon and then Big Night Out. And then the next big thing is Amplify Austin. This really is a way to help us earn money for our charity. And again, if you're interested in animals, arts and culture, health and wellness, senior support, youth services, we have all of those categories where you can choose where your money goes and know that we're going to be very good stewards of those donations. We have a small team, but we do a lot of work in the community, and we try to be really transparent with where we spend our dollars. And so we really appreciate that. And so Amplify is a way for us to shout to the rooftops that we love what we're doing. We want to continue doing that, and we could use your help.
Yeah. And please do donate to Generation Serve through Amplify Austin, because we talked about this a little bit. A lot of nonprofits, people are dedicated to their single cause. Whereas I think Generation Serve, you're serving a lot of causes. And some people don't realize that does take funding to make this type of impact. And only 5 staff on your team and over 20,000 hours worth of opportunities for the youth that they've signed up for. So just the impact versus the administration, it's money well spent.
Yeah, and we supply most of the materials for all of this programming that we're doing for these 100 partners. It really helps us make sure that we are sustainable and that we can continue to grow. We definitely appreciate that support, the financial support.
Yeah. Okay. Show up at Big Night Out. Only 4 tickets left for February.
40.
40. Sorry.
Yeah.
40. Only 40 tickets left for February 27th. Donate to Generation Serve through Amplify Austin on March 5th through 6th.
Correct. Yeah.
And good luck on your marathon, Stephanie, or half marathon.
Half marathon,
I know.
yeah.
Let's not put an extra half on there.
Well, I would try. I would crawl to the end, but we're so thankful. Thank you for having us today. And if anything, help us by being an ambassador. Tell people about Generation Serve and the work that we're doing. Come hang out with us at an activity. Learn more. We would love to have you.
Love that. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks.
Hey, listeners. If you have children, have you thought about your family values? You know, the ones that your children will take with them when they're long gone and out of the house? Some of the most common values include kindness, empathy, responsibility, communication, and prioritizing quality family time together. But you know what's never on that list? Prioritizing screen time. And let's be honest, those little devices are addicting. I'm guilty of it too. But we can start mindfully deprioritizing our need to be tethered to a screen. The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, it just came out last year, and the conversation on this topic exploded. The data is clear. There's a rise in adolescent mental health issues with strong links to increased smartphone and social media use. But what if instead of just connecting online, kids were connecting in real life, giving back, building empathy, and becoming leaders in their communities? That's exactly what Generation Serve makes possible. Whether it's packing hygiene kits for those that are in need or creating snuffle mats for dogs in shelters, they create hands-on opportunities for kids to step up and make an impact. And here's the bonus. Volunteering isn't just good for the world, it's good for them. Service hours look great on college applications, you earn recognition at graduation, and more importantly, give kids real-world skills that no app can teach. You've probably heard this stat floating around the internet, and it's mind-blowing. 90% of your time with your kids will be gone by the time they turn 18. That's not a scare tactic, it's a reminder, a challenge. Make the most of what's left. Turn off the screens, make the hours count. And if you're a parent or a grandparent, don't just sign them up, join them. When my son and I volunteer together, we've created a core memory for just me and him. We listen to the Rest is History podcast in the car rides, and we grab lunch, just the two of us. It's time together we'll always remember. Check out Generation Serve's calendar now for volunteer opportunities. And if you have a teen, they need youth leaders and adult volunteers to help lead activities. And don't miss it. Big Night Out on February 27th, an evening of food, activities, and music, all for a cause that's shaping the next generation of givers. Buy your tickets now. We'd love to hear how you're getting involved. Join the conversation on Instagram and Facebook at Escape Into a Cause. And if this episode inspired you, share it, leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and spread the word. Got a good brag for supporting Generation Serve? Post in our Facebook group or message us that you've posted it on your social. And thanks to the Texas Stars Foundation, you might even win tickets. Join us next week as we escape into Best Buddies, which improves the lives of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We volunteered at one of their events, and it's a lot of fun. You won't want to miss it. Special thanks to Nightlight Insurance for making this podcast happen and donating to Generation Serve, Todd Thompson for editing and mixing, Graham Thompson and Jaden Dyer for the music, Corey McCain at Just Push Record Studios, Michelle Anderson at Pinkeltoes Photography, and Tim Nicholson for branding.